when I was in college, it happened at Virginia Tech, you know, and we're like, oh, it'll never happen here. We're walking around campus and, so what do you tell those people that when it does happen and that shock that comes in, and how do you help cope with that shock?
Yeah, I liken, so for myself, one of my expertise is kind of group therapy. One of the three curative factors that I try to allow for people to proceed in their grief is hope, universality, and connection. We have to instill that there will be a sense of hope that we can progress from this at some time. Doesn't have to be now, but at some point in our time, there is a hope that we are trying to progress to. Then the concept of universality is what I find beautiful, and I think this is what you guys are offering on this podcast, is that we're not unique in our pain. I'm not the only one that is suffering. There are other individuals that are also suffering from the same pain. And so in the community, as we are processing the shock and processing the grief, when we realize that other individuals are alongside with us in our pain, we feel a sense of comfort. I'm not the only one that is going through this. I'm not the only one that's angry. I'm not the only one that's looking for justice. There are others that are in the same path along with me. And that comfort allows them to progress in their grief with more certainty. And then finally, the idea of connection. And I think that's what we are doing on this podcast and having this dialogue. I'm sure at Michigan State, the same things occurring amongst the students and opening that safe space to talk and make it real, because we have to run away from this idea of disassociating about what happened. We'll have to confront with this head on. And when we confront head on, the raw emotions just have to be allowed into the room and into the space. Way too many times we're trying to shut it down and suppress it. Or we I know a lot of times I hear from young folks and young student athletes, I'll explain all my pain to some older folks, whether it be coaches, whether it be my advisors and mentors, but they shut me down, my pain, with advice. And so a lot of times we're trying to speak life into individuals, but it's the wrong time. Instead, we're supposed to be listening. So let me hear and validate where you're coming from. Let me provide that safe space for you to really come forward with all the pain, all this rawness. And I'm gonna be real, when we hear situations like this, will be individuals that will come forward with a sense of vengeance, with a sense of need to advocate for a sense of anger, a sense of questioning their existence, a questioning of their communities, of the society that they live in. And so if we don't validate that, provide that comfort for those type of raw emotions, we're not going to progress in the grief that is necessary. And so if we're able to hit those points, and I think that's what we're doing here collectively on Spartan Strong, we're beginning that dialogue in order to empower the youth who are being affected by the most by these type of shootings to come forward and speak with their grief openly, so that action can take place.